So some background to our two presenters. Amy Seabrook is part of BC Hydro's Conservation and Energy Management team, where she manages programs to support First Nations and local governments in advancing community energy and climate action initiatives in their communities. And Carol Suhan is the manager of the Energy Conservation and Energy Management Group. She leads program delivery for the Fortis BC award-winning conservation and efficiency programs. With more than 20 years experience leading behavior change programs from solid waste reduction to energy efficiency, Carol works with organizations and communities to achieve their behavior change goals. So now I'm going to hand it over to our two presenters.
Thanks, Elena. Good morning, everyone.
Yes, good morning.
My name is Amy, and that was Carol Suhan, and we're going to be sort of trading back and forth, sharing this presentation. So, Carol, I guess I'll start us off, and then I will share it with Carol throughout. So, I guess first off, just thanks very much to the Fraser Basin Council for inviting us to be part of this webinar. It's a great opportunity to share some information about our programs and some examples from communities that we've worked with to try and encourage the listeners to work with your communities on conservation and energy management. So I'll get right into it. If my slides will change.
Yeah, I'll also say here that both Amy and I work closely together, and as much as possible, both BC Hydro and Fortis BC try and offer the programs together, so you're not going to have to apply to one or the other. You just apply once, and we will work it behind the scenes about how the funding, etc., goes. So,
thanks, Carol. So this first slide is just a bit of an introduction to community energy management. And so when we work with communities to manage energy use at the community scale, we often refer to this framework because it provides some guidance on the order in which to approach different strategies for managing energy in your community. And so, you know, as you can see from the pyramid, we're working our way up from the bottom, and the biggest piece, the foundation of that pyramid, is around reducing demand, which is often referred to as demand side management. You may have heard that term, or also as conservation and energy efficiency. So really, this is the biggest piece of this pyramid. It is the first, the best, the most cost-effective way for any community to manage their energy use. And it should be. Many of you may have a community energy plan in place. And if you do, I hope that reducing demand, it makes up a really big part of it. It should be the foundation and where you kind of start with your community energy management activities. So I just really wanted to emphasize that. The other parts of the pyramid are also important. We talk about reusing waste heat. So that's to heat buildings or hot water. And that might be kind of industrial or commercial waste heat, sewer and wastewater heat recovery. The third piece of the pyramid is around renewable heat. So that's looking at solar technologies like solar thermal or geo-exchange to heat buildings and hot water. And then finally, at the very top of the pyramid, sort of the last thing that you would consider in your community energy management strategy is renewable electricity. So actually, you know, generating power from sources like micro hydro, wind, solar, tidal, geothermal. And so I offer this up mainly to emphasize the importance of reducing demand, and then just to underscore the fact that Carol and I are going to focus our presentation today on this piece of the pyramid. So we want to look at opportunities to reduce demand in communities, and we see that there are a few different areas that you'll look to in order to reduce demand. And so that's in homes, in your community, so the residential scale, in community buildings and potentially in small businesses at the commercial scale. And then through strategies that are intended to really kind of embed consideration for energy efficiency into the way that you go about your day-to-day business in the community. So looking at opportunities for planning, for policy, and then to really support capacity development of people to drive that change forward. So we'll start with the residential programs, and I won't spend a lot of time on this slide. This is just an overview of the programs that Fortis BC and BC Hydro have, and we have a slide to speak to each of them. So moving forward, the Energy Savings Kit. So this is offered by Fortis BC and BC Hydro, and actually more recently by Pacific Northern Gas. And it is a kit that contains products to help you seal up the drafts in your home, to save on your lighting costs, and to reduce your home's water use, which also reduces your energy. So the items in the kits are really easy to install. It's intended that you could order this kit from us and put the items in yourself. And so these are things such as LED light bulbs, high efficiency shower heads and faucet aerators, and then some basic draft proofing measures like window film and weather stripping outlet gaskets and things like that. For Fortis's part, there's also a furnace filter coupon included in the kit. And the kit is free to all income qualified households. Maybe many of you on the phone have participated in this program. And there's a version for single family homes and also for apartments. The Energy Conservation Assistance Program, again, offered in partnership, BC Hydro and Fortis BC, provides free energy upgrades and advice to income qualified households. So the way this program works is that a professional contractor comes out to visit the home, and they do an assessment of the energy saving opportunities, and they'll provide some personalized energy coaching, and then install the products that your home is eligible for. And again, these are things that they kind of build on the kit that you just saw in the last slide. So the LED lighting and the water saving measures, but also further draft proofing measures, hot water pipe wrap, and in some cases, homes may qualify for upgraded appliances, Energy Star refrigerators, and improved attic, wall, or crawl space insulation. And then again, for Fortis's part, some may qualify for a high efficiency natural gas furnace or rebate. To date, we've seen a lot of, or pretty strong, I guess, program participation by First Nations in this program, which is really wonderful. I think we've had over 400 First Nations communities participate in the program to date, which has resulted in thousands of homes on reserve receiving these energy upgrades. So I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the ways that we're trying to improve some of our programs to better support First Nations in their energy efficiency goals. So again, the Energy Conservation Assistance Program is something that we're looking at. And, you know, despite the strong participation that we've seen from First Nations, we still recognize that there are barriers to program participation. And we've taken some steps in the last few years to address some of those barriers. So things such as accepting bulk applications from First Nations bands, which allows you to kind of confirm the eligibility of your individual community members, so that not every individual community member needs to submit proof of eligibility. So we hope we're overcoming some access barriers there. And then also, we will often provide bands with a bit of support for part-time employment so that they can have community members assist with collecting application forms, and also assist during the installation phase to help schedule and gain entry into homes, provide the homeowner or the tenant with a bit of peace of mind that these strangers coming into your home are okay, the band is supporting this, and then even to help in some cases with the installation of some of those basic energy saving measures. So those changes, you know, those have happened in the last few years, and they've been pretty well received, but you know, we know that there are still some barriers to accessing this program. So I kind of alluded to the fact that there may be some issues people have with having unfamiliar contractors come into your home. Some of the things that we've heard from First Nations bands is that there's a desire for greater flexibility around the assessments that get done and the measures that get installed. You know, you might have need for upgrades beyond the energy efficiency measures that are provided in the program. And then there's also a desire to provide training and employment opportunities locally, which makes a lot of sense. So we're trying to figure out ways that we can better support those goals that First Nations have. So this rebate offer is really put forward as an alternative delivery model. So rather than us sending our contractors into the home, the band can really take the lead on coordinating and implementing the retrofits, and then apply back to us for rebates on the measures that are eligible through our program. And so far, we've only had one community go through this program, but we're hopeful that others will. And I think, you know, with that one community, it really allowed them to take funding that they had from other third-party funders and funding that the band had, and pool it together to do a deeper retrofit for a select number of homes in the community. So, you know, there's an opportunity there to look at some of the measures that Connie mentioned in her presentation around, say, new roofs or new windows and doors, things that we don't support through our program, but then also look at things that we support through our program. So kind of a broader retrofit for the home. So I'm going to pass it off to Carol now to talk about heat pumps.
Yeah, I think this is a good segue, because this is a pilot project that we completed over the last 2 years. Actually, we're still a little bit in the process. We're sort of, but very specifically in the South Okanagan and in the Kootenays. I don't know if everyone knows this, but Fortis BC provides electricity for about 170,000 households in the Okanagan and Kootenays. And again, everyone is on electric heat, and of course the rates have gone up. And so we're trying to help folks adapt to, you know, a more efficient heating system. So we tried this pilot project. We installed about, I think, I don't know, 42, 43 heat pumps in the South Okanagan, and essentially, and again, we're looking at the most the household that would benefit the most from this, and it obviously was mostly from elders, because what we were doing was replacing the wood electric furnaces, and in some instances baseboards, and again, wood was just becoming difficult to, you know, having to load the stoves, etc. So we did install these at no charge, and have found them to be very well received, especially in the Okanagan, because of course heat pumps also provide air conditioning. So it was a nice positive approach. And right now, the second phase, again, it kind of echoes of what Amy was talking about. We're looking at maybe, rather than just installing heat pumps specifically, but trying to coordinate that with a full renovation plan, or an upgrade plan, so we can, you know, work more collaboratively and on a more of a customized basis with communities. So again, the dollars can go further, and we can replace more heating systems and etc. So we're still figuring out how this will work, and hopefully we will be able to offer this on a full-time basis, you know, going forward. And also, I just maybe, Amy, if you want to move forward here, I just go on. If you know, we've been talking very specifically about, you know, sort of low or income qualified households, but for any other renovation rebates, if you're doing anything really when it comes to energy efficiency, we have additional incentives that we could top up. For example, CMHC funding. So just help your funding sources go further, essentially. So, you know, we do have incentives on draft proofing, insulation, and again, you know, crawl space and basements, as well as walls and attics. So, you know, we're trying to treat the house as a whole system, and look at all those areas that we can make the homes more airtight and, of course, better insulated. Also with space heating, I already talked about the heat pumps in the electrically served area, but of course, whenever there is natural gas, we also have rebates for furnaces, fireplaces, etc. And obviously, if you are tightening your home and having it, you know, more with less draftiness, whatever, ventilation is an issue. So we also provide rebates for fans as well. And again, I'll just say this program doesn't matter whether you apply through BC Hydro or Fortis BC. The programs are exactly the same, and we go through the very same kind of process as well. The same, because considerations, etc. And I know Amy's going to talk a little bit here about a big project that she worked on here. Have we lost the sound system here?
Oh, sorry. You can hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So we want to share an example of a First Nation community that's been through the home renovation rebate program, and that is the Skidegate Band Council on Hydro. And some of you may have, you may be familiar with this story. I believe they have done a webinar maybe with FBC, and I've included a link on this slide to a YouTube video that the band has made about their heat pump project. So the band, approached us. They had already coordinated the purchase and were in the process of installing heat pumps in most of the homes in the community, about 350 homes. And we were able to work with them to submit a bulk application. So the band was able to submit the application on behalf of everybody in the community that received a heat pump, so that we could then process the rebates on the eligible models. So, I think this is a great example. It was a wonderful initiative that the Skidegate Band took on, and they continue to work on energy efficiency in the homes now that they've installed the heat pumps. They recognize that, homeowners and tenants need a bit of education perhaps on how to manage energy in the home and how to manage their energy costs. And so they're doing some of that education now. They're also doing some further retrofits, and we're working with them on that. But I think it's a great example and one that, we would absolutely encourage other nations to look to. Carol?
Sure, yeah, and this is a brand new service that was offered just last month. That's a BC Home Energy Coach, and basically it's funded by BC Hydro, Fortis BC, and the Ministry of Energy and Mines. And if you have any questions about building science or what should be done in terms of an energy efficiency perspective, what should we do, windows and doors first? Should we look at the heating system? Or if you have any kinds of technical questions at all, these are professionals on the phone. They're I think 6 days a week, all day long, and really provide some excellent information. So I highly recommend that you use this service, because it is free, and you can get some really good. If you have any questions about what should be done, or about rebates, or how to connect, these guys can help you. And just moving on here, because I know we're running short of time here a little bit, but we also have other rebates. Like appliances, for example, anywhere from $50 to $100 for refrigerators, washers and dryers. And again, those are sort of the more, most efficient kind of Energy Star. But if you're buying either one or a whole bunch, again, let us know, and we can either do a bulk application or the individual ones, of course. Also, if you have wood heat, propane, or oil, and you want to move to natural gas, we do have assistance up to $2,700 per household to make that transition of fuel changes. And of course, if you're just replacing furnaces, boilers, rebates up to $500. Also, of course, it's important to have your appliances well maintained. We have furnace maintenance, $25 to help support that. If you're bringing in a contractor in, and you're maybe looking at one or dozens of homes, again, we can do a bulk application. Similarly for heat pumps, if you do have heat pumps in the electrically served Fortis area, we have a rebate there of $50. And just mention for new homes, we don't have maybe as robust programs, but we do provide $2,000 rebates for homes that are built to an Energy Star standard, which is essentially the same as a Step 3 code. Or if you're not going to go to that kind of standardized approach, we just provide rebates up to $1,300 on water and heating systems. And yes, that's a lovely, the buildings there for the Sage super efficient buildings in Penticton. We worked on that project as well, and really wonderful results there.
We're just going to try and speed this along a little bit, because of course we want to leave time for Mike's presentation and questions. So I'll just say very briefly that both utilities have programs to help you manage your energy use online, to track it, to manage your payments, to compare your usage from day to day or month to month or year to year. So I hope you take advantage of those. We have at BC Hydro, we have Team Power Smart, which is a behavioral program. So if you sign up for that and you reduce your energy use by 10% over the course of a year, you can earn a $50 reward. And the program is really gives you lots of access to different tips around how to save energy at home. And then overall, this is a slide for the commercial programs, and we'll just get right into it to not spend too much time on them. Carol?
Sure. And well, basically, we just to say we provide rebates or incentives or help in terms of any new construction that you're doing. That, for example, is a picture of the school, again, the Penticton Indian Band, but we can help with building modeling beforehand, like we can pay up to most of the cost of that, and of course support rebates at the end. And then for just sort of regular building retrofits, we call them product rebates, but there's sort of fixed rebate, whether it's for boilers, hot water, kitchen equipment. But whatever you see what the rebate would be for First Nations, we do provide a 40% top up. So for example, if a boiler rebate would normally be $50,000, well, you would have an extra $20,000, so basically a $70,000 rebate. So check those out as well. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
And same goes on the BC Hydro side. There's some financial incentives to help you replace old and inefficient technology. So it might be something that you'd be interested in looking at for community buildings or for some of the business owners in your community. So just getting to the end here, we've talked about the programs that help you save energy in homes, community buildings, and businesses. But the other really big opportunity from our perspective is to manage energy at the community scale through plans and policies that can embed consideration for energy in your day-to-day business, and also through people by dedicating staff resources to advance those plans and policies and initiatives and assist community members in accessing some of the programs that we just spoke about. So both Carol and I are doing a lot of sort of exploration activities to try and look into these opportunities a bit further and see if we can't kind of create or improve programs to support these initiatives. So we are working together and also with the Ministry of Indigenous Relations and Reconciliation on a community energy planning pilot. We are doing some work with a couple of different communities around energy efficient new home design and looking to kind of really build up some case studies from different regions of the province to support First Nations in building more energy efficient, but also culturally and regionally appropriate, comfortable and affordable homes. And then finally, we are looking at the opportunity to support staff positions with bands. So both utilities have programs around supporting, like providing salary support for dedicated energy management staff. And those are in commercial and industrial businesses around the province. They're in public sector agencies, they're in local governments. And we think there's probably opportunity to work with First Nations on that as well. So those are things that we are working on now and we'll be exploring more over the months ahead, and happy to come back to this group and provide updates and engage with folks, because certainly your guidance and input into these programs is essential. So with that, I will say thank you, and thanks to Carol, my co-presenter, and we'll wrap up.
Okay, well, thanks so much, Amy and Carol. It's a lot of great information to pack into a short amount of time, so I appreciate both your work on that. So we'll move into a short Q&A right now. So if you have any questions, please type them into our question box. Our first one from Jamie Pond mentions that Kitasoo has private hydroelectric power. If they don't have BC Hydro or Fortis BC services, are they still eligible for any opportunities?
That's a good question, Jamie. You know, I guess the short answer is no, I think. I mean, just from an incentive perspective, both utilities incent customers in the areas that we serve. However, I think there are a lot of good resources in terms of more of that behavioral component and how to encourage energy efficiency amongst community members. And for Kitasoo specifically, BC Hydro supports a community energy facilitator with the Great Bear Initiative, who supports the coastal First Nations, including Kitasoo, in energy efficiency endeavors. So there is that support, but I recognize that's kind of a bit specific. So.
No, thanks, Amy. On the question about you provide incentives for ventilation fans. Does this include HRV systems?
Yes, it does.
All right, great, thank you. And before we move on, I wanted to launch a poll to see out of our audience today how many communities have participated in a utility incentive program. So you will see this on your screen right now. So if you can take a quick moment to fill that out, and then we'll see what the results are. Great, so thank you for voting in the poll, and I'll share the results on the screen. And it looks like it's a split between those who have participated in a program with BC Hydro and those who have not yet. So hopefully this presentation is a good opportunity to learn about the services from both BC Hydro and Fortis BC. And I believe Amy and Carol have shared their contact information if you're interested in finding out more.